I guess I'm ready to go. I think I'm ready to go. Hello there. I'm Inrider Boy. This is my channel. We're kicking things off. I rearranged some of the stuff on my OBS dock, and now I'm confused about where to find everything. That was a poor decision to do that right before a stream, before I had the chance to practice with it over the weekend. But great. It's National Employee Appreciation Day here in America, as I learned from the email we got from the director of our organization. Nothing else. I hope everyone else is having a great day. Oh my goodness. I don't know. Like, I guess, like, I mean, we're a huge organization. We've got like, what is it, like 50,000 employees, you know, within our organization. So it's like, I get it. It's not like they're going to like, it's not like the director is going to do like something unique and individual for each and every person. But like those little like, hey, I appreciate you employees things just feel kind of disingenuous. It's like, good. I'm glad you appreciate me. Pay me more. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's a little maybe that's a little too strong on the union talk for what most people would like. Hold on, let me make sure my volume levels are good. I think my mic is a little close to me here. All right, there we go. I think that's a little bit better. We don't need to be peaking here. I think we can just set that right there. Maybe that'll be okay. That'll be a good stream. Just me staring at, just watching the levels. I don't know, man. Like it's such an adjustment trying to figure out how to use an actual microphone, like with settings and stuff. Just my stupid little headset mic that it sounds garbage no matter what you do. See, there's really nothing to worry about. But this mic has potential. Like it could actually sound good if I knew what I was doing with it, which I don't. So I don't know. I think it looks okay. We're just gonna go with it and hope for the best, maybe. I don't know. I guess I can always just like bump that down a little bit so that it doesn't quite peak as loud, but I don't want to like cut off my own voice, my own beautiful dulcet tones that everybody is here for. Not true. My voice is nasally, and I always sound like I've got a mouthful of spittle. That's how my voice is. At least to my own ears, that's what my voice sounds like. So with that big burst of self-esteem, let's do some writing. It's time to do that. So here we are. I've kind of edited my border a little bit here to try and get the screen just a little bit bigger to make sure it's possible for everyone to read. I'm learning, okay? I'm learning how to do this. And I'm trying new things, and I'm trying to make things better. We've also managed to get ourselves I've gotten myself a different source of DRM-free music. So hopefully it won't spam the chat box with all kinds of needless advertisements about like the songs that no one's going to look them up because it's just ambient music. So I'm hopeful that this will help me wander a little bit further into the realm of the legitimate here. We'll see. I don't know. Hold on. I'm gonna move my camera down just a little bit because I noticed a little bit of my screen peeking out below, and that just looks a little tacky. I think that looks better. There we go. Haha, there we go. Good. Nice, subtle, unintrusive borders. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, just like me, just like all of you. Let's do some writing, okay? So we're working on our campaign today. We're working on. We've been getting into the next chapter of our campaign project, and this is sort of an interim transitionary chapter that we're working on here. We finished up in the Dwarven tunnels, which I'm kind of actually glad about. Like I like it. I have good positive feelings about what's been created there, and I really like it. But honestly, I was ready to move on from that. It was getting a little monotonous to just do a lot of tunnels, which again I'm okay with the monotony as far as from a player standpoint. I want the tunnels to feel laborious to get through. That's the point of them, right? That's part of the immersion, which some people might argue isn't great, and why would you want to be immersed in that? And fair point. If that's not the game you're into, then don't design your game that way. But for me, I kind of like that. I like that it kind of throws our players into that, into feeling like they're stuck in that environment, with their characters and all that kind of stuff. I think it's doable, and as long as there's enough excitement and intrigue and things to find and things to do, the atmosphere feeling monotonous doesn't mean the game feels monotonous. And I think a monotonous atmosphere can be a really powerful thing to chuck at your players. So I think it works. But the point is, I'm excited to be moving on, and I'm really excited. People who have been sticking around, or not sticking around, people who have been to some of the other streams, don't mind me while I get some lotion on my hands, which are just so incredibly chapped to the point that they're almost bleeding. It's just nonsensical how horrible at handling cold weather my skin is. My skincare routine. I need to perfect it. What was I talking about? The next big move for our players in this campaign is going to be heading into the forest, where we're going to really chuck them into a solid Resident Evil meets Blair Witch type of horror setting, which I am stoked about. I am really excited about making that one. To the point that I almost regret that I have to do this transitionary thing in between, but I do want to do this transitionary thing, and there's a good reason for it too. And it's the reason why I brought up the sort of monotony of what we've done in the chapter leading up to this one, is this chapter is going to feel a lot more lighthearted. It's going to be very Monster Hunt chill. There's going to be a crazy wizard involved, and it's going to be just a lot lighter, a lot more fun, a lot more relaxed than what our players have encountered in the past couple of chapters. So I think it's going to serve as a really good necessary break for them before we dive them into more horror, awful dark settings. So I think it'll work really well. I think this is going to be an important step to do it. And like I say, it'll be nice to just give them some simple enemies without a whole lot of complicated, political things like we had with the Duragar and with the giants and all that kind of stuff. I mean, complicated. A lot of air quotes in there. It's not complicated, really. But, I mean, any political intrigue type thing that you throw into a game is definitely a very distinct feel, and it can be tiring to go through that all the time, right? That can be an exhausting thing. Some games and some players really like that stuff all the time, and that's great. If that's your jam, that's great. Do that. But I know that when playing D&D, there are kind of two camps of players, or at least I've noticed there are two types of players. There's the, oh my goodness, I love this type of stuff. I love the political intrigue and roleplay type stuff players. And they will love that kind of stuff. But then there are the players that are much more interested in doing the just the straight up slash and hack and kill the monsters type stuff. So we got to make sure we cater to both of those, especially when we're pre-planning a campaign for any hypothetical group in the future, right? So for those reasons, I am really glad that we're doing this chapter, even if the actual process of writing it is maybe going to feel a little in the way of me getting to the one that I'm really excited about, because I'm really excited about writing that horror thing that we've had going on. I'm really excited about that. But no, this will be good. This will be good to do this. So I'm gonna oh shoot, you know what? I forgot to open up our maps here. So let me get a map open here. Let's just do, like I like to do, just a quick recap of what we have, what we've been doing within our campaign here, just so we can give ourselves a brief rundown and remember what we've worked on so far and get ourselves into it. So here's our region map. I'm not going to worry about doing the world map today. Sometimes I like to start at the broad world map. All of the things that I'm writing is with the perspective of doing it within my homebrew world that I have, the world of Zaoria. It's a post-apocalyptic world within D&D, and the important thing to know about it is that the setting is kind of like Season 1 of Attack on Titan, where it's okay, there's guarded cities, and outside of it, it's super dangerous. There, you understand the basic premise of my world. I really like exploring forgotten and abandoned locations and civilizations and stuff like that. And so having that type of setting really, really serves that atmosphere well. And that's the atmosphere that I love doing. So, of course, I naturally do that. But the point is, the reason I'm kind of glossing over that is because that's my world and that's how I like to do it. But my intent with this campaign and like the reason I'm doing this project is so that anyone who, like, my intent is to, once it's all done, release it, like on Drive-Thru RPG or something, so anyone who's interested can grab it. It's going to be a long time because not only do I have to finish it, but then I'd have to reformat it into PDFs and everything. But that's like, the point is I'm trying to do that, which means I'm trying to create this so that it kind of is within its own self-contained chunk of the world. So if you have a world that doesn't operate the same as mine, that's okay. You can just like create an island where you can just kind of like pluck this little thing out, this little puzzle piece out, and plop it right into where you want it, right? They've all got that universal, it's like a Lego piece, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, you can just pluck this one out, put it there. It's all universal. It'll fit in just fine. That's the goal. That's the goal. So that's why I'm glossing over that. So our campaign, you know, the opening premise that I have here is our players are part of an effort to build a new trade road between a couple of these cities that are the guarded cities, but they've been separated, right, because the wilds are so dangerous. So they're trying to build a new road going through there is the idea here, and that's kind of what places our characters in the middle of nothing here and gives them this dangerous, sort of basically unexplored world to now explore. And so that's the basic idea, the basic premise that we're working with here. Our players are in here, and it all starts when they're kind of exploring this cave, and then suddenly a big giant dragon comes down. And the dragon is none too happy because the players are operating in an area, in a region of the world that this dragon considers its domain. And who's going to argue with the dragon? I mean, you know, the dragon says, hey, this is my land. And, you know, as a little human, like, despite all of the stories of, you know, the hero, knight, prince saving the princess from the dragon, you know, despite all of those stories, let's be real. If any of us saw a dragon whose head was 5 times the size of our entire being, we would probably be like, hey, that's your world, man. This is your ram. Here's some gold for your, here's, like, take my coin pouch, add that to your little, your little hoard, and I'll be on my way. Right? Realistically, you don't mess with that. But, you know, in our setting, they're kind of desperate to create this trade road. So the players and their associated crew that they're with to start the campaign will cut a deal with the dragon and say, look, we desperately want to make this road. Can we work out a deal to make this happen? The dragon will be like, okay, I got this place, Hall of Wisdom down here. It's locked up tight, magically sealed, and all that kind of stuff. It needs 4 keys to get into it. I'm too busy looking over my domain to bother going on a key hunt. You guys find the keys for me. I will let you build your trade road. And so the players naturally will accept the call to adventure, and they'll go on. First key is up here among the giants. Players adventure in there, kill some giants or whatever, get a key. Hooray! Second key is over here in the abandoned dwarven city. Find some Duragar, kill some of them, get a key. Hooray! Now we're on to the next stage of that, which is... Oh boy, let me see here. Oh, you know what? I opened up the wrong version of this file. Hold on a second. I need to open up a different version of this map. I opened up an old version that's saved in a different location. Hold up, friends. We need to... It's not... I forgot that I moved a lot of that stuff for the sake of cloud saving so I could work on all this stuff elsewhere on my laptop. So I need to open up... Where is it? Hold up. I need to go about it this way. Oh my gosh, things are confusing and hard. Hold on a second. Boy, oh boy, this makes for great entertainment, doesn't it? Just me sitting here messing with my files. Aren't you glad you stopped in here today? Oops, that's the wrong one. Yeah, this is the one. Oh, that's the one we need. No, don't rename it. Open it. There we go. Haha, I got it. And first try. We nailed it. Perfect. Excellent. Great. Loading default textures. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh no, I just didn't say. Okay, that was the right version. Did I? Okay. No, maybe I just didn't save. Oh man, I didn't save what we had worked on before. Ah, I'm a fool. Let me make sure I've got opened up the right version. Maybe I'm like wrong and the right version is a different one that I was working on. I hate when I do that. No. No, but no. I don't wanna, but no. Let me just try one more time here. Wait, hold on. Oh, nope, nope. Yeah, okay, yep. I guess I just didn't save it because this is definitely the right version. Ah, beans. All right, well, I guess we'll just go ahead and we'll just make it again. Oh, wait, no. No, yep, there's supposed to be a little abandoned city bit of stuff here. Where did I save that? I could have sworn I worked on it and saved it. Oh, man. All right, well, we'll just make it again. We'll just do it again. It's fine. It wasn't really that much work. We just created a little city and plopped it into our map here. That's not a big deal. Watch, we can do this real quick and easy right here, right now. And I could be wrong. Maybe, you know what I might be remembering? I might be remembering that instead of editing this map, we just made a more detailed version, like a more zeroed in map for this city here. So let's just let's see here. Let's just make sure our stuff that we're making is roughly the same size. That's about the same size. Good enough of what we're doing here. And let's actually, you know, I'm gonna shrink it down just a little bit more because it's supposed to be a small-ish city. I don't know. It's kind of a sizable city. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll just plop it right there. There we go. There's our little city. And then with the important thing that we got to put in there is we got to put in one of them wizard towers. Woo, that's a little big. And plop in a wizard tower right over there, which is an important component of this because that's going to be kind of the driving force for what is happening in here throughout all of it. So we just got to create some paths here. We want a walking path, basically. We got one goes in through there, just like that, maybe. And then one that's like, boom. Boom, like that. There we go. Got a couple of different paths. And then one that kind of goes... Oh, I don't like how straight that looked. That was weird. There we go. If we just do that, that adds a little bit of a windiness to it. That looks better. There we go. And then our pathway to our wizard tower. That'll be great. There we go. And then we just gotta put in a label here. Minadala is the name of our city. Of course, we're going with Bilbo as always. I mean, come on now. Come on now. How can anyone be creating a fantasy map and not use the font titled Bilbo for it? I mean, come on, man. Beautiful. There we go. Minadala. There we go. See, look. And now I press the save button. Look, I can learn. It just takes me screwing up a couple times. You know how it is. Sometimes we all screw up. Okay. So we got our city of Minadala here. Yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that I did edit this thing. I'm pretty sure what I did was if we go to open, that's what I was thinking of. We made like a more detailed city map was the idea here. The idea being that like we plopped in some of these main like attraction type places. And I want each of those places to be kind of an important part of our like dungeon map that we're going to make for this, right? Because we're going to make sure we have all kinds of opportunities for different combats and all that kind of stuff as we always do. And so I want to make sure, and I just noticed one thing real quick there. Okay, there we go. I want to make sure that we I lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I was going to say. All right, yeah, so we're going to work on making our city of Minadala. Look at that. Isn't that professional of me? I'd be a great radio host. This next song is, well, we're going to find out together, and just press play. I don't know, actually. I feel like I would find that kind of entertaining. But then again, I thrive in the chaos, so, you know, whatever. Okay, great. That looks good. So that's our city there. So let's go to our OneNotes here, and let's do some actual like writing here. I want to try and get us to a point that we have all of our sort of like fundamental information. This is a little big here. I'm gonna shrink that down. Hopefully that still looks pretty visible on feedback for on playback for you guys. Hopefully that'll be good. I think that'll work out just fine. Great. So I wanna kind of have all of the fundamentals down so that next week we can kind of hit the ground running as far as putting in like detailed rooms and making maps and stuff like that for the actual like dungeon maps, because I will provide like dungeon maps for our players. I think the dungeon maps in this one, I think what I'm gonna want to do here, I'm trying to think about how we can still make this kind of a unique and fun experience for our players. And so what I want to do for that, like I've been thinking a lot about how I want to do this, and there are a few elements, a few things that I want to kind of put into this, and I want to lay out the framework for all of that today, so that way next week when we get into it, we can start really getting into it, right, and getting the details. So there are some basic principles of how this chapter, as I've kind of come to phrase them, right? My campaigns have like a chapter for each level that it's supposed to run. So this one's running players from levels 1 to 10. So there's going to be like 10 chapters, right, is the idea. And so like the idea is that within the chapter, there are enough experience points through combat and everything that if our players are completionists, they can earn that. And there'll even be eventually some side quests and stuff that you can plop in there so they can earn extra and be like leveled up higher to make the boss combats even easier and stuff like that. But the idea is, if you don't like that approach to it, then each chapter is designed for, you know, a certain level. So this is this is chapter 6, so it's designed for level 6 players, right? 5 level 6 players. And so by the end of it, you know, like once they finish this chapter, whether it's like you're doing it because players just don't care about experience points, or you're doing it because they care less about like completionist Skyrim style mapping out and like clearing out all of the rooms in a dungeon. If they don't want to play like that, then that's fine, because you get to the end of this chapter, once they've accomplished the main things in this chapter, you know that's your signal. Okay, level 7 now for going into the next area. So, you know, that's what this chapter is going to be. And what I want to do for this chapter, what I want to like I want this to still be interesting, even though it's kind of a transitionary chapter, basically getting them from one abandoned city that they were exploring into another. And what I'd like to do is make it so that each part of this chapter, like the way this chapter plays out, right, is we have players that like they're experiencing, okay, how do I want to explain this? They go through one singular map, right? There's one singular map that they can explore, but they're there for a couple different, like for multiple days. And each day that map changes a little bit in terms of what's available, what enemies and dangers are present there, and all that kind of stuff is the idea. So like, because what I'm thinking is, okay, let me go back. Let me slow down a little bit. I'm getting excited and I'm not explaining things clearly. This chapter takes place before they go into the Elven city. And the reason our players are going here is because the last known easiest way to get to the Elven city from this side of the mountains, right? Because if we go back to our, I didn't, hold on. Get this bad boy opened up again here. There it is. With our city, it's saved this time, right? Okay, so like the last known pathway, like the way to get past these mountains without having to go through all the dangers of the mountains, the way we're setting it up is this wizard tower had the last known teleportation portal that could take you from here into this elven city of Ashur-Nalor, which is where the next key that our players need to get to is reportedly hidden, right? Like the research that either they or their ally, which will provide them early on in the campaign, find is that there's a key hidden somewhere in here in this city of Ashur-Nalor, which is all kinds of messed up, as we'll see when we get there, right? And so the idea is the players are getting to here, to this wizard tower, hoping that the teleportation circle is active. What they're going to find is that there's a very isolated wizard living here, a wizard who has been here alone for an undiscerned number of years. And I kind of want to keep that a mystery. I don't even know if I want to make it clear like that I know how long that wizard has been there. My thought is that this wizard has been here for maybe 10 years, maybe 1,000 years, who knows? But drop little hints that like this guy is really freaking old, right? That he's been here for ages and ages and ages, just kind of doing his own thing and slowly going more crazy. Kind of a very my vision for him is very Ice King meets Radagast type of situation, where he's a little crazy, a little out there, very powerful, but a little crazy, and kind of with a tragic history of some sort is the idea. And so players are going to go here, they're going to find this wizard here, and like he's going to be willing to help them, but he needs resources to like repair and rebuild this teleportation circle that will take them into Ashran Nalor. And so what my thought is, players will there'll be basically maybe 6 stages to this one city, right? And so it's the first one is they get there during the day and they have to navigate their way through the city to eventually get to the Wizard Tower. The second time, and so it's they get there and the wizard will host them for the evening or something like that. And then they'll agree, and the wizard will agree to help them out. So then the next day, the idea is that the next day, he will say, okay, I need this material. You can probably find it in time. Probably find it in the city. Go out there and see what you can find. So then day 2, our players go into here. But overnight, different wildlife, different creatures, different monsters or whatever made their way into the city. So our players will go and walk through this area, and the map will be kind of on the surface the same, but different doors will be unlocked or locked or barred based on damage that different monsters have done to different buildings or presence of monsters or something like that. So the idea is that the map will initially have visibly on it, will maybe put in usually I try to stick to about 10 rooms. Not about, I do 10 rooms. That's I've got a very formulaic way of designing my dungeons, which helps me make sure that I don't forget to add anything cool or make things too simple or too complicated. That was a weird enunciation on that. Complicated. Too complicated. That was weird. I don't know why I said it that way. That really derailed my own brain there. I'm thinking the map will be more complicated than normal, and put a lot of rooms in there, but make it so that each day when they go down there, different rooms are important or accessible, or just make it so that all of them are maybe accessible from the beginning, right? Heck, we could even put in just this 60-room mega dungeon that is all of it always available, but our players need to go to different locations, and they can go to all of them or they can go to different ones based on what they're trying to find, right? And so that's kind of the idea, is that it's one single map. And this would be the map, and my thought is to they would do 6, break this into 6 quadrants, right? We got 1 up here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 or something like that, and then just put in, do actual battle map style dungeons, do 6 of those things that if they say, okay, we want to go check out this district, it's okay, then we bring them over to that more specified dungeon map, and then they can explore that. And if they want to in the same day say I want to explore some other parts of the city, then we go back to this overmap here. And so it's all of it is available to them at any time, and then they just choose what section they want to go to, and they go and explore that to their heart's content and then head back. But the idea is that day 1 is just them navigating through here, so they can try and decide oh, do we want to go through any of these? Are we just going to beeline? They can do that if they want to, right? They can just beeline, and I would just kind of do a random encounter type of thing, roll from the random encounter table and let them deal with whatever wildlife they find based on that, and they get through that, right? And so then the second day, it's okay, I need you to get this thing, get this holy symbol so that I can transfer magic into the teleportation circle, right? So it's they go into this district which has the church in it or whatever. They go there, find the holy symbol, and then they go back, and the wizard's okay, great, yeah, thanks. And then he disappears into his room because he's crazy and he doesn't tell them anything. And like he's just in there all night, doesn't say anything to them, just all night. They spend another night there. Next morning he comes out and the wizard's like, oh yeah, I was gonna tell you, I need you to get me this other thing. It's like, oh, they need to get some like particular plant or herbs or something like that. Okay, so they got to go down to the market district, right? And like just do a series of those things that will have them going into different districts, right? And so they can explore them at different events, but like they'll kind of have to go to every district at some point in time. And that's kind of what the thought is that I have to design this one, which is why I wanted to do this map, because I feel like this map is going to be a helpful tool in sort of facilitating that approach where it's like all of them are available. Choose which one you want to go to. Plus, who doesn't like making and looking at maps? I mean, come on. This thing, not to toot my own horn, but this map does look really nice. These maps in general, the style that I've kind of landed on with the help of using Wonder Draft here, with the help of Wonder Draft, I've kind of come on a pretty good style of map making, if I do say so myself. Like I say, not to toot my own horn, but you know, beep beep. Yeah. So that's the idea I have. That's the spilling of the word vomit of the idea that I have. And I'm thinking each district, what I'll do is functionally, just to make things easier and make it so that there's not quite as much work that as the DM you have to do when prepping any given session for doing this stage of our campaign, is each district will have specific animals, but you can kind of like specific animals and monsters. But since we're going to be kind of like nudging players in certain directions, right? And I don't intend to make it so that when they leave an area after clearing out a certain, so like say there's a bunch of hyenas make their home in like the farming district over here or something like that, right? Suppose there's a bunch of hyenas that live down there. If our players go through and kill them all off, I'm not intending for them to like regenerate, which maybe isn't, you know, the coolest approach to doing it, but you know, we want to minimize our stuff. So it's like there'll still kind of be that feeling of like they clear out an area, but there's other areas with different monsters, and it'll kind of still offer that feeling of different enemies. And the thing that you can do to sort of add that back in, inject that little bit of realism of like, oh, it's supposed to be on a different day, there's different monsters and stuff available, is you can set up a different wild or random encounter table for each day. So that way, if they go into this area, but it's day 3 and there's supposed to be different monsters that moved in overnight, then you do from the wild or from the random encounter table, so that they just like randomly encounter day 3 creatures, even though they're in the day 1 section or something like that, right? So that's kind of the idea, and that's how we can inject a little bit of that in there if needed. I mean, the thing about it is we can sit here and we can fuss over it as DMs and as world builders, right? We can sit over here and we can fuss about it for hours and hours and hours, trying to think about how to make the perfect thing. You know what's going to happen when we actually run this session? Our players are going to be like, oh, we're facing this enemy right now. Kill, kill, kill. And then exactly a half hour afterwards, they will forget any sort of like realism that was there and just remember pretty much to the extent of, oh, it was really cool when I got that killing blow on that boss. That was so cool. And that's like the extent of it. They will not care. They will not care about how much detail we put in here. So it's entirely for our benefit how much detail we put in here, which as someone who loves to put in a lot of detail for that, let me tell you, even I have my limits. And so we're going to just go ahead and make set areas that have set enemies and call it good there. We got to preserve our own sanity in some way. So, okay. I'm doing a lot of like rambling, but I don't know. Maybe like I think, okay, so first off, it's kind of okay to like get really into rambling and talking about ideas like this, for me anyway, because this shows that even though this dungeon was initially going to just be a distraction from the one I was really excited about, which is doing that Elven City horror show, right? I'm super excited about that, and I do want to keep. I really want to get to that one, but I like me discussing all these details is probably a good thing, because I think this means I'm getting really excited about this area too. Which, the more excited we are about the things that we make for our players, the more fun our players are going to have, and the more we're going to be able to translate that excitement that we have to them, right? They're going to get much more excited. They're going to be very excited, and it's going to be a good time for everyone. So this is good. This is good, baby. It is good, babies. I like this. I like this a lot. So let's go ahead and start doing some stuff. We've already kind of talked about the history of this and the setting of this thing. We do need to kind of come up with some thematic elements and some primary and secondary tasks and all that kind of stuff, which are important parts of it, and a little tedious, but they're going to really help us make sure we have like a consistent atmosphere about this thing, so that way, even though we're giving different monsters and different creatures and stuff like that for each day and for each location, ultimately we are in one city. And so I feel like it's going to be important for us to make sure we keep a certain consistent thematic element, as our little header says right here. It's like I've thought of this before. Okay. So this is, I make these templates for myself, and I'm so glad I took the time to make these templates. Like, it was like a couple of years ago that I did this, but I'm so glad I did it because I still use them today, and they're so helpful in helping me make sure I write everything that I need to write. So I'm really happy about it. Okay, let's see here. So we've already kind of put in, we have already done a lot of this stuff. Great. Enemies will be primarily wild animals, maybe larger, more dangerous versions of them, but keep actual monsters to a minimum. Perfect. I already did that. Hooray. Hey, Z-Bean, how's it going? Good to see you here. Yeah, I think, great. I forgot I already did this. Happy surprise for me. Past me is taking care of present me. So let's make sure present us takes care of future us. So, yeah. You vibing? I feel that. You know what? I feel that too. I've been vibing today. I've been vibing this week in general. I've had a good week myself. I've had a good week, and that's, like, I'm really happy to be able to say that on a Friday because there's minimal amounts of time for that to be ruined. So 8 hours till your session. Nice. I got a couple days till my next session. And so I got a couple days this weekend. I got to work on some stuff because my players are my players are playing a different campaign than the one I'm writing right now. But they I've got a different one. This is a different project because sometimes they drop in and I don't want them to accidentally spoil stuff for themselves. But they're heading into a new section, so I have to like get all of our maps and stuff updated, which I'm stoked about it. I've got some really good stuff for them coming up. I'm really excited about it, but I got to spend some time this weekend getting after it. But not right now. Right now we're working on on this other campaign project, which I'm also stoked about, man. I'm having fun with this campaign project, to be perfectly honest. I just love world building. I love doing it, man. I love doing it. I hope my excitement about everything that I write here translates, because I just have so much fun with it. Oh boy, it's so fun. Anyway, okay, so maybe final boss is like a large beast that has detected the player's sense and is hunting them. Oh yeah, I had thought about that idea. I'm remembering thinking about that, and that's actually a really cool idea. Where it's like, you know, within each section of the city, there's maybe like a mini boss, but all the while, there's like hints of there being a particularly big bad animal that like we just make at least visually intimidating. And so like our players are like constantly under threat. And it's like in different rooms within different parts of this city that they're exploring, suddenly they'll have like an encounter that's like a scripted non-combative thing, unless they decide to like bring the fight to it at any point in time, and they could just like essentially kill off the final boss of this dungeon like on day one of it or something like that, which would be, I honestly think that would be really fun. And they're like constantly, because knowing my players and them knowing how I usually design my games, they would be then panicked the whole time about like, oh my gosh, if that wasn't the final boss, like what's gonna be the final boss? And then you can get to the end of the end of the chapter, and they'll be like, oh, that was the boss. And you can be like, yeah, you handled it. Like, you guys did it. Open world. Hooray. Day 1 session each week. And so it'd be bumped it up by 1 hour. People wind down more. Oh, yeah, I feel that. Yeah, and like, I think what you've hinted at right in there is one of the most important things, one of the most important pieces of advice I always give to people who want to get a consistent D&D game playing. Get everyone to be willing to play on a weeknight, because no one schedules anything on a weeknight, and no one is willing to spend every single Saturday doing the same thing. right? So like playing on weeknights is like one of the best ideas, even though people will think like, oh, but I'm tired after work. Like they'll come to look forward to that. And even if it's just like a 1 or 2 hour session, especially because we can all play online these days, like doing that, oh my gosh, it's one of the best ways to do it. That's how my group, we play every week. We almost never miss a week unless someone has something really important or it's a holiday, right? We never miss a week. And so even at shorter like 2 hour sessions, as opposed to doing big long 4 or 5 hour sessions, we play way more in a month. We get way more D&D in our lives than if we try to just do only weekends. So, oh, you guys split the party? Oh, that never goes poorly. Splitting the party is always a great idea. Leaving the warlock and the wizard. Oh no. Oh no. That okay, so depending on how it all pans out, could be okay, but yeah, that's bad. That's some bad juju you guys got set up. Oh boy. Oh my goodness gracious. Playing right in the center. Playing right in the center. Hey, you know what? Like, good for you though. Good for you though. Right in the middle of the day, man, your energy is gonna be up there. You can use your energy and your vibe to like carry the crew. So that'll work out for you. It'll work out. It'll work out. Also, isn't technology amazing? Isn't technology amazing that people from across the world can play with each other? That came out weird. They can play games with each other. That came out weird. I'm not gonna say it that way again. Oh, you're dealing with hags. Oh my gosh, you guys, man. Even as a okay, like I'm just getting like horrible flashbacks to every time I try to use a hag with my players, and it's just like it's always been bad luck for them. But they've always just had terrible rolls whenever they deal with hags, and it puts them in the situation where they just are always about to die, always about to die. Good old hags, good old hags. And now, like the fun part about it now is even though they're like better and like higher level, I can still throw hags at them, and just like the PTSD of chucking a hag at them like freaks them out. And so it's a really good way to mess with their heads. That's what we could do. We could have the final boss be a hag that's just like chasing them, and like they'll panic, even though a hag is going to be way too easy for a final boss for them at this stage in this one. Do that. Although this isn't for my players that I'm playing, but maybe they'll play this one day. Who knows? Nice. That critical natural 20. That critical nat 20, man. That's the hey, you know, that's why. But like, I think it's awesome when you can do stuff like that, and like I think it's awesome when players will try to get insight about a monster they're fighting, and if they roll well, I'll give them tips like, oh yeah, you can tell that this thing is going to be immune to this, or you're dealing with this thing. Like I love doing that because I love when players get strategic with their battles. I love when they use strategery. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this idea in here. I'm gonna keep this idea here where it's like a large beast that's kind of hunting them. I really like that idea, and we can just like give hints, and there's like maybe one location in each section of the city where it'll like trigger the beast kind of showing up, and like kind of like sniffing for them when they're inside a building. It's like sniffing around the outside, and so they can either try to find some way to avoid it, or they can just take the fight to the creature. And I really like that idea. I really like that idea. But then like the last one is they have to like find something for the wizard that they're helping out, right? That they're getting stuff for. They have to go and like they have to go into that monster's lair. So it's gonna force the issue one way or another. I really like that idea. I want to keep that one. All right. Lots of belongings that were left behind centuries ago. Yep, definitely thematic elements there. Remnants of household alarm systems. Okay, that was the idea for the traps. Okay. Some of the stuff is starting to come back to me. I don't really know that we need to worry about atmospheric notes. We can just do like different weather. Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do one more thing. Perhaps different days in the city will have different weather, which influences how active the enemy monsters are. Could do something like that. That'd be interesting. Parchment on wall of a tavern behind a loose board. Oh, nice. I love the concept of like hidden clues and stuff like that too. I think that's really fun. Nice, playing a UNT. That's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like you guys have got some pretty strategic stuff going on. That sounds really awesome. Sounds like a lot of fun. Man, it's making me excited to play. Making me excited for my next session. I love playing D&D, man. I love it. Such a fun game. Okay, primary task here. Players are trying to reach the wizard tower to see if they import. Okay, so this is the stuff that I got to edit a little bit. Since I've been thinking about it, I've kind of refined what I want to do here. So the main story. Ultimately, players need to use the teleportation circle within the wizard tower to transport to the Elven city to find the key they are looking for. So that's like ultimately what they're trying to do here. Key they're looking for. So for part of that, within this, there's going to be let's see here. How do I want to organize this for my notes here? They need to get to the tower. Okay, we'll say get to the tower and find the wizard still living there. He's a little crazy at this point. He's been up there pretty isolated for a long time. Let's see, Wizard Morlock or does the fire set off a trap? Cause fireball to go off. I mean, the wizard roll death saves. Oh, so they're staying behind because they're already dying. Great time to split the party. Oh my gosh, a lot of that. So that could be a really good decision or a really poor decision, depending on how diabolical the DM is. It's like I feel like the DM really has a lot of power to decide how that all pans out. Which, as a DM, that's my response to that. Oh boy. Okay. So he's a little crazy at this point. And so like the thought I had is, the circle was damaged and needs to be repaired. So we'll do that. So the circle was damaged, needs to be repaired. To, let's see, we'll say the wizard can repair the circle, but needs stuff from in town and asks the players to do it because he's scared of the monsters in the city. He's kind of scared of them. Flip the bed that... Boy, you guys got up to some shenanigans. Tell you what. But that's like the fun part about D&D. So like I say this all the time. When I'm writing stuff as a DM, I'm very organized and meticulous, and I really like to put things in their proper place when I'm building a world. When I'm a player who's like in there, and even as the DM, when we're like actually playing sessions, particularly with battles, I love the chaos. I love when everything is just going straight to hell in a handbasket. And there's like things exploding over here, and there's a wall falling over there, and there's two people unconscious over there, and there's wild magic going off, and this guy's possessed and attacking his teammates. Like, I love the chaos. The more insane everything is in battle, the more in heaven I am with it. I love that stuff. Oh, like you, Snake. Well, I mean, snakes are small targets, hard to hit. So, like, you know, I guess it can kind of make sense. Or maybe your snake is just like Satan and is like totally on board with the fire. I mean, that's biblical. All right, so that's the main story there. So the wizard can repair the circle, but needs stuff from in town, and ask the players to do it because he's scared of the monsters in the city. That's great. And actually, I don't, for the main story, because it bothers me when I don't do bullets right. Like, this is so my high school English teacher better be freaking proud of me, okay? Because I still remember to this day the lesson we had about making bulleted lists and how you're not supposed to make a bullet if it's going to be the only bullet. If you're doing that, you're really just describing the bullet above it, right? So, and I dang it, I stick to that rule. like religiously. I make sure that I maintain that rule. And so, gosh dang it, I really wish, which was the teacher? What was her name? Oh, I can remember her face. Who was it? Wasn't Mrs. Bailey. Oh, but it started with a B. I know it did. Oh, man. Oh, I feel bad. I don't remember her name. I remember her lessons, but I don't remember her name. That's so disrespectful. She taught me stuff that I still remember. Like, it's been like 15 years. I still remember the lessons she taught me, but I can't remember her name. It wasn't Mrs. Eddington Shipman either. She was an awesome English teacher, but she was a different one. Oh, it's gonna bother me. Oh, I feel bad. She deserves more recognition than me completely forgetting her name. Anyway, I still remember it. And it bothers me when I do stuff wrong. Roll a 13 dex save. Slithered behind the wizard. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it went and hit. Snakes are quick and tricky. They can hide pretty well too. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. All right, let's see here. So the main story. Ultimately, players need to use teleportation circle. Yeah, and that's great. And all of the stuff is like, there's really only one main story. So side stories, we're going to change this because I had a couple ideas for side stories. So clues will be unearthed that the wizard is lonely and maybe just a little tragic character. I have some ideas for details that I want to do about this. So we'll say, so actually, you know, I'm going to undo. We're going to leave that there. So I'm going to say some clues will hint that he's been there for thousands of years somehow. Let's see, somehow. That's a different story for another day. Somehow, thousands of years somehow, and has had declining mental health in the isolation, right? So he's like all alone up there. He's isolated. And the other thing that I wanted to do is clues will indicate that he intentionally destroyed the teleportation circle because something undefined came out of it after him. Well, not after him. Like that sounds weird grammatically. We'll say came out of it, comma space, endangering him. That's what we're getting at right there. There we go. Clever use of language. Get what we want to get. We can tell what we want to tell with it. And so then here I wanted to do. I wanted to say, over time, with the failing mental health, he no longer remembers why it was destroyed, or even that he did it. So like he doesn't remember. So I want to do that because I think if we can drop in hints for our players and that like his life was in danger and that's why he did it, but he doesn't remember and is willing to help them and is like completely oblivious to it, I think that there could be some really good sort of moral quandaries for our players to examine in that situation. So I really like this idea. The other thing that I want to do though is no clues about exactly what it was. Helps build suspense since our players are going into this portal towards towards whatever the threat was. So I really want to do that side story. I think that's going to be a really good one. There's kind of a couple of them wrapped up in there. But then the other side story that I want to do is I'm going to like add it as a side story here. We'll do kind of like the wandering boss in the city has perhaps been doing a lot of stuff well, I don't know, like this is a very unrealized idea. Wandering boss in the city. Let's try this. The wandering boss in the city will leave behind clues about what it is and ways to more easily defeat it if players show patience and avoid it for a while first. So like the idea is like it's not exactly a side story, but it's just a way to remember to put these types of details in as we're continuing to write this. Is like the boss like it'll have like there'll be clues about like what the boss is and how to deal with it if our players decide to not like kill it right off. And it's not necessarily it being a right or wrong way for players to approach this, but just like, you know, there can maybe be rewards for not being little murder hobos about it. So second character already. Probably a good idea in most games. Let's see. Is the Goblin Fighter who specializes in being a tank. Nice. Awful neutral guard. I wiped out. This group's just trying to make a name for himself. Nice. That's interesting. You sound like I've got a buddy. He moved out and he moved a ways away, and scheduling makes it hard for him to play with us regularly, but occasionally he'll guest star. He has like an entire binder of characters. So like for me, I really like world building and I love creating stuff, and I've just got this huge, I mean, look at all of this stuff that I've written within this OneNote notebook of my one big D&D world, right? I have this huge world. He does that for characters. He's just got binders of characters. He loves making characters. He loves toying with like multi-classing and stuff like that and trying to find all of the different fun, complicated ways to like make cool, interesting characters. Not necessarily always min-maxing and power gaming them, but just thinking about like, oh, how can I use like this magic to like combine with this stuff to create a character that's like this? You know, and it's like it's yeah, some people just really have minds for characters. I've spent so much of my life at this point in time being a world builder and being a DM. My character ideas pretty typically amount to yeah, my guy's a sword guy, and he's kind of dumb and he likes to hit things with a sword. Yep, that's it. Like when I get the chance to be a player, I don't like to think. I don't like to think and strategize. My guy just goes in and he hits things. Just that's about it. I'm like, hey man, I am the DM. I'm along for the ride now. I ain't gotta do no thinking. I don't want to make anything complicated. We're just gonna cruise and take it easy. So okay, perfect. So that gives us all of our background settings. I'm really excited about this stuff. I actually really feel good about this. I think this is gonna make some really interesting, intriguing stories for our players to explore. Even though this is really just sort of like a transitionary chapter within the campaign at large. So I'm really excited about it. The next thing to do is to sort of think about some more details about all of the different enemies and stuff in here, and then start doing like so we have like our different sections. We're gonna have about 6 sections in this one because it's our level 6. You know, I like to do that kind of stuff. So we're gonna do all that, but we're gonna do all of it in like a minute and 30 seconds because I gotta make wee. I gotta make the pity whistles. So I'm gonna run to the bathroom really quickly. I'll just leave you here with the music. I'll be back. Like it'll be literally like a minute tops. But I'm not peeing on stream. Okay, I say it all the time, and I'll say it again. This is not the right platform. This isn't that stream. I gotta be getting paid a lot more for me to do that on camera. Just so like never say never, but it's not happening on the stream. So all right, I'll be right back in just a few seconds. I appreciate the patience. I have triumphantly returned from the Wiz Palace. My journey was long and treacherous, but I made it. Then I came back and I bumped into my desk while I was scooching in and made everything all shaky. Oh, you said something like that. Oh, what'd you got? That's imagination from characters. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I can't think about characters anymore. Oh, I like the monkey paw effect. That's exactly the kind of stuff like I'm talking about where I love the chaos. Like I love wild magic. I love monkey paw type of stuff. Like I love that kind of stuff. I love when things don't get to just like work. I love when there's just some sort of added complication to things. I think that makes it so much more fun. So much more fun and so much more interesting to like have to deal with that kind of stuff while you're playing. I love it. I love it. I love that idea. I love that idea. Okay. Okay. So we do need to, okay, so we got to do some stuff here. This is going to take some work. First off, okay, so the villains, the main bad guys and all that kind of stuff. I actually want to do that kind of, well, okay, we're going to come up with the main bad guy and we'll come up with and we'll work on a few details about our main wizard dude. But like that stuff I'm going to mostly save for later because like that's stuff that's really good to work on during the lore writing sessions that I do, like when I'm doing my lore on Tuesdays. So we're going to save a lot of this stuff for Tuesdays because like this is where I like to like really flesh out kind of their details and their histories and like mechanically kind of come up with stuff that's even actually mechanically thinking about like making enemies smart and having them be like clever in how they use their abilities and stuff like that. That stuff is really good for our house rule type stuff too. So I'm gonna save most of this stuff. But the one thing I do want to do is I want to work on our XP breakdown because that really informs how I structure each of these room sets. So and it's kind of a complicated process, and I'll walk through it as I'm doing it. But I gotta stand up really quickly and grab my dice in my dice tray. Ugh. Okay. Get that kind of stuff. Start out normal wizard, not skeleton. I wish someone during the campaign and then turn into the skeleton. Nice. I like that. I like that. That is a clever idea. That's a really clever idea. And as long as it like doesn't mechanically break anything, I love when players come up with ideas like that. I'm really into it. Add a spanner. Yeah. We can do whatever we want, baby. We can do whatever we want. I haven't like a lot of it's going to depend on what challenge ratings we need to end up putting things at. Because I do have a system, and I know it's a controversial take. Okay, there will people who will fight wars over whether challenge rating is good or bad. Namely, the people that don't like challenge rating, they really don't like challenge rating. They really don't like that. They really don't like that type of stuff. So. A living bridge that loves to gossip. I like the idea of that actually just being like functionally it's actually just a troll that isn't actually like a troll that lives under a bridge that isn't actually violent. It's a real gossip queen, and so people just kind of shun it and don't like it around. But yeah, so no, I use challenge rating, and like I say, I recognize that is a hot take whether challenge rating is worth using, but first off, the way I do it is a very sort of mechanical, intentional way to go about it. And so you know, there's a very specific approach to it that makes it kind of work. And I've always had success running it in my games. And the other thing about it too is like, you know, if you don't like it, you want to do it differently, then do it differently, baby. That's the beauty of D&D. We can all play the game exactly how we want. Okay, I'm picking out the dice. I'll show off the dice. But I do... Actually, no, we don't really need the dice for this part. What I need is a calculator. Ugh. No takes. Yeah, honestly, keep that attitude. Keep that attitude. People who are, like, super aggressively for or against anything in a game that's, like, within the rule set, it says, like, play by the rules. Or don't. Do what's fun. Like, that's what the rule books themselves of D&D say. It's like, you know, so it's like getting rules lawyery about it just to me seems kind of against the whole point. Like, and like the whole point of playing a tabletop is that you can play fast and loose with rules, and you can do what you want to make the game fun, right? It's like, it's no different than although I guess it explains why people get so vehement about it. Like, people, like, it's no different than modding a game, right? If you want the game exactly as it was, then don't mod it and have fun with it. If you want to change things about the game, mod it and have fun with it, you know? Like, that's the whole point of playing a tabletop, is the whole thing is moddable, so that you can do whatever you want to do with it. So, I don't know. But then again, some people get, like, really offended at the idea of modding a game. Skeleton with it more. They already push over physically, like, which, yeah, that's true. That's true. No muscles. They literally have no strength. There's no muscles. Makes perfect sense. Okay, so let's work on our experience breakdown. So I'll walk through this. One of these days, I'm gonna just like make a video to put on my YouTube channel that's just me explaining how I do this, because people do, like, the people who aren't immediately put off by the fact that I do use challenge rating seem to be interested in this. And, like, I think in a lot of ways, this is, like, the way I do this is kind of what is intended with challenge rating. I just kind of show the steps for it and make it work for mine. And there's a lot of reasons why I do this, but it all, the end of it is that it all works. So the first thing that I need to do is just really quickly look up D&D level up. I gotta remember the experience points that we need for everything. So yeah, here we go. Okay, so this chapter is chapter 6, which means it's going to take our players from level 6 to level 7. We got 5 players. So to get to level 7, they need a total of 23,000 experience points. That's for one player. So they need a total of that, but they'll have already gotten up to 14,000. So they need 9,000. Each player needs to obtain 9,000 experience points through the course of this chapter. All right, and so now if we're designing this intended for like a party of 5, we'll times that by 5. So we've got 45,000 experience points that we need to distribute throughout this entire chapter if we're going to take, you know, the experience points route, which even that in and of itself is a controversial take, depending on who you're talking to. So the total XP that we need in this situation, 45,000 experience points. Just to stylistically make it pretty. We'll do that. Okay. So now I'm going to do like 6 floors. Is the way I do it. Right, 1 floor per level. And again, there's a reason for it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Yeah, no, I think, I think, honestly, like, if you want my hot take on it, I think your DM has the right of it. I think the rules are there to give us a starting place and an idea of what the game is. But again, if you wanted a system, like, if you want to play a game that is hard and fast with the rules and doesn't offer any room for modifying and changing the rules to fit the gaming experience, then just play a video game, right? The computer doesn't give a rip about your emotions. The rules are the rules, and the computer will maintain them. You know, if you want rules that don't break, play chess. The whole fun of playing a tabletop RPG is being able to specify the experience to what you and your buddies that you're playing with want, right? Like, that's the fun of it. And I think, truthfully, the other thing about it too is to keep in mind, like, I'm getting fiery about it. I'm getting fiery about the people who get fiery about it. Like, I think it's also a situation of the vocal minority. I think there are a small number of people who are very adamant that the game has to be played one particular way or another. And I think they get upset that most people don't agree with them, and so they get very vocal about it. I think most people are very much of the mentality of, like, yeah, play how you want to play. Who cares? It's a game. It's like, the only wrong way to play a game is to play it in a way that doesn't let you have fun. So it's like, yeah, just do whatever you want, man. Do whatever you want, baby. Okay, so we got 45,000 experience points. Now, here's where things get a little complicated. But it works. But it works for me the way I do it. It makes a critical damage, gets a plus max damage of total dice. Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. I've got a home brew rune system so that players can put, like, the spells that exist in D&D onto weapons and stuff to make weapons more unique and fun. Right? It's all about making the game fun. all about making the game fun and making your players really feel like heroes. Like that's what my take is. That's the only hard and fast rule, is it has to be fun and make your players feel like heroes, because they are. That's the whole point of it. Okay, so the way I do the way I do all of this stuff is each of these floors, each of these sections, I call it floors, but really it's just like sections. Each of these will get progressively more difficult as they go through. All right, and the way to do that is to add a we're gonna break down into partitions. We're gonna break down our total experience into different partitions, and each floor, again, floor in parentheses, each floor gets the number of partitions based on the number it is, right? So floor 1 gets 1 partition of this. Floor 2 gets 2 of it. So we need to add all these up here. So we've got 3, 6, 10, 15, 21. We need a total of 21 partitions of this 45,000 experience points. So we're going to divide it by 21. And the numbers are going to get super not round. And my method is to always basically just round it up to the nearest 50, because that's kind of where experience points break down, is down to like the 50 experience points. There are some ways to get like 10 experience points and stuff like that, but if you break it to the nearest 50, that usually makes it pretty easy. The nearest 50 or the nearest 100, either one kind of works, but you kind of round up to that. So that way, because when you just round up by, like 10 to 20 experience points, it won't really change the difficulty meaningfully. But that way you can make sure you're adding enough experience points, because if you accidentally round down more than you round up, if you're using the experience point system, then you'll kind of get your numbers, you might accidentally end up a little short based on the end of it. Let's see, do an animated shelf to one-shot the ranger. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so each partition is worth, the number as it is 2,142.85714 experience points. We're just going to go ahead and do 2150. So each partition, I'm just going to put a note over here. So just a little note over here to remember myself. Partition equals 2150 XP. All right. So floor 1 is going to be worth exactly that. Going to be worth 2150 XP. All right. So floor number 2 is going to be worth 2 of those partitions. So we just multiply it by 2. So 2150 times 2. That's going to be 4,300. 300 XP. I want to put the little commas in there because it just makes it look prettier. Makes it look prettier and it's easier. So we'll do that. So floor number 3. Come on, highlighter. Come on. Okay, fine. R, you just sit there and you get deleted separately because you're special. Okay, so the floor 3 is going to have 6450. 6450 XP. Floor 4 will be 4 of them. So you see how this is going, right? And so this is kind of how we can make sure that each one gets progressively a little bit more difficult. So the next one's going to be 8600 right over here. 86. Oops. 8600 XP. And then, oh wait, no, shoot, that was supposed to be for 4. Beans. Beans. I mucked it up. It's unfixable too. It's permanent. I can't do anything about it. Okay, so we'll do that one. 2150. Next one. So this one's actually gonna be worth 10750. Oh gosh, dang it! The highlighter. Stop getting the parenthesis. I just want that. There we go. My goodness. 10750 XP, and then our last one plus another 2150 is gonna be worth 12,900 here. 12,900 experience points. Okay, so that's how much experience points each area is going to be. Okay, wait, what do you got for me? So the party, 5 players total. 2 players behind, the 3 went down. But exploded. Animated ladle. What is happening in your guys' game? There's so much insane crap that you're relating right now. An animated ladle, huh? Okay, well, fair enough. Does it act like it's drowning every time you use it? Oh my goodness gracious. Let's see. I am not interested in buying followers. Ban hammer. Bam, 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 bam. There we go. I don't want that crap in my chat. It's in the way of actual meaningful, important chats. Two parties of 3. Can you count an animated ladle as a useful? I don't know. I guess I don't know the details of the animated ladle. I'll trust you that it'll work out. Okay, so now that we know how much is going to be in each floor, we need to now figure out. So then I'll further break down any battle that's going to happen within each of these floors into one of 3 difficulty levels. There's either going to be easy, or, well, 4 difficulty. There's easy, medium, and difficult battles, and then there's the boss battle, which is extra difficult. All right, and so I kind of put this here if necessary, just because it's like I don't consider it an essential thing to have a particularly challenging boss battle, but I always end up doing it anyway, just because I think it's fun. I think it's fun, and it makes players feel pretty accomplished when they kill some sort of big baddie. So we're just going to get rid of that. We're definitely going to do it. It's super necessary. Super necessary. To quote Jorge Masvidal, who has a fight coming up tomorrow, and I'm super stoked to watch that. Him versus Colby Covington should be an interesting one. They got some beef going on there. Heck yeah, man. I love watching fights, man. I love fighting is fun. Like, not like in a bullying way, but just like in a ring way. It's super fun. Scottish because it likes the bagpipes. Fair enough. Guess I can't argue with that logic. Can't argue with that logic. Can't argue with logic that barely functions in the first place. No, I'm just digging you. I'm just digging you. That's awesome. All right. So now what we do is each one of these things is worth a certain partition, right? So like there's I always do 7 combats per floor, right? So there's going to be 2 easy, 2 medium, 2 hard. Or wait, no, that's not how I do it. It's 3 easy, 2 medium, 1 hard, and 1 boss is the way I do it, right? And again, I do the partitions thing, right? So each easy is worth 1 partition, each medium is worth 2, each hard is worth 3, and the boss is worth 4. So if we do our additions, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for our 2 mediums, and then 3 for our hard gets 10, and then 4 for the boss. So we've got 14 partitions of each floor, right? So we need to take this number and partition it into 14 to know how much experience points each one's going to be. It's going to result in floor number 1 being super easy for a group of level 6 players, but then this one is going to be pretty difficult for a group of 6 players. And I do it exactly like that. I like to make it that sort of stepwise difficulty for players. It makes it really fun for them in a couple ways. There's a couple reasons why it makes it fun for them and why I do it this way. The easy ones, like having a really easy floor. So when you think about it logically, right, the way I break it up, where it's like each chapter they finish and they're up to the next level, there's a good chance that they will have just turned level 6, which means they will just now have a whole bunch of new powers and tools and abilities to use. And so giving them an easy couple of floors serves kind of 2 purposes. In the first place, it gives them a really low pressure situation to try experimenting with those new powers and abilities without worrying about mucking it up too much, right? If they use it at a bad time and like, oh shoot, I should have saved this for another time, really low stakes because they're in some easy situations, some easy combats that they really just don't need to worry about it. So gives them the ability to sort of experiment with stuff, so that way when we get to those difficult areas, they understand these new powers, these new abilities, these new weapons, whatever it is, they understand them better so that they can make use of them better when the time really matters, when they get to, you know, floor 6 here and things are really tough. The other reason that I really like doing that is because if we always have all of our like difficult battles, all of our battles scale up exactly with our players, they never really get the chance to feel like they're progressing, right? If there's just always a more difficult boss that matches their difficulty, they never really feel like they're getting ahead of the game, right? They never really feel like they're getting more powerful. And that's not fun, man. Like, you're getting all these super mega powerful things. You're trying to be like these super powerful superheroes. It's like, man, let them feel powerful every now and then. So you give them an easy floor. They're going to run through. They're going to tear through that like tissue paper. And they're going to feel super awesome. And I want my players to feel that. Like, I want them to feel the rewards of their accomplishments. They've handled like 5 bosses up to this point. They should be strong at this point. They should really feel like they're pretty badass compared to what they used to be. Give them the chance to do that. There's plenty of time for them to get to this point and feel like they're in over their heads, right? And they understand they're playing a game. There's always going to be a bigger fish, right? There's always a bigger fish. Let them be the big fish every now and then. That's my take on it anyway. So that's why I do this, and that's why, even though I know, oops, my alarm's going off. Not like, don't worry, it's not like a danger. My home is being invaded alarm. But yeah, that's just like, you know, that's why I do this, and that's why I'm okay with there being really easy and then really hard stuff. So, you know, I just like to, that's what my principle is on this. And so I know sometimes people, because everyone's got their own different philosophy on how to balance combats and stuff like that. So, you know, that's my approach to it. And the thing about it is, for me and my groups and my friends that I run, this works and we like it. That's the most important part. It works for us and we like it. If it doesn't work for you or your team doesn't like doing it this way, then by all means, don't do it this way. Why are you listening to me? My goodness. I'm balancing because you didn't expect so many nat 20s. Wow, you can't balance for good luck. There's no way to do that. Unfortunately, you just can't factor that in. But okay, so anyway, going over all of that. So our easy battles are going to be worth 1/14. Medium battles are worth 2/14. Hard battles are worth 3/14, and boss battles are worth 4/14, right? That's why we, like I say, things are going to not be nice round even numbers. That's just how it is. So for our easy battles, we basically, it's easy enough to figure out. We take our 2150, we divide that by 14, which gives us 153.57. We're just going to go ahead and round it up to, honestly, so like this always puts us, this one will put us in kind of like a weird, awkward situation where it's like rounding up to the nearest 50 puts us at 200, and that's kind of significantly different. But for level 4 players, or for 5 level 6 players, 200 experience points total in a battle, not a problem. So that's going to be our easy one there. And so now we'll do for the next one, so 2150 times, since there are 2/14s, you do times 2 divided by 14. Gives us 307. Again, we'll just round it up to 350, to 350, that's fine. 350 can't, gosh dang it, the internet has ruined my brain. Like the whole 350 meme. Like, gosh, the thing is old at this point in time. But it lives rent-free in my head. Every time I see 350, I have to say 350. My brain is broken. I'm a broken human. All right, 2150 times 3. Oops. Clear out. 2150 times 3 divided by 14. That gives us 460.7. We'll round that up to 500 XP. And then our last one here. Again, we'll do the 2150 divided by 14, and then we'll times it by 4. Order of operations doesn't matter in this situation. 614, we'll round that up to 650. 650 XP. So those are going to be, that's like the total battle, right? So when we give them an easy battle, it'll be worth 200 experience points. And then when we get to each individual floor, it breaks down even more because I have a mathematical system for figuring out how difficult to make the enemies within there. So it gets really broken down and really into the weeds, but I have fun with that. And like I say, the thing is it like, if I do this work up front, it really saves me all kinds of planning time because I've already pre-figured out all of the difficulties, and honestly, it balances out pretty well. Like using this system, my players just handled using the same approach to doing things but for level 5. My players were just part of a boss battle that was just about the perfect difficulty. There were moments where they were really scared that they were going to die, but they ultimately prevailed against the final boss of a dungeon. And it worked out really well. It was a really good level of tension. So it just like, you know, I'm kind of at a point where it's like, I ain't gonna fix what ain't broken. You know, it still works for me, so I'm gonna keep doing it. That's here. New to D&D, trouble RPing. But yeah, okay, role-playing is really difficult. Like, don't feel down on yourself for that one. So, you gotta use text-to-speech. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, like, role-playing can be a difficult thing to get used to, and a lot of it has to do with comfort, right? Like, especially if you're going to try role-playing a character that is going to make a decision that you as a player knows might not be the best one. I mean, you got to temper that to a degree. Like, don't be that guy. It's like, it's what my character would do, as they're like ruining the fun for everyone else. Like, you use your meta knowledge to make sure that the decision is fun and enjoyable to everyone. But yeah, it can be kind of difficult to do that kind of stuff and to feel comfortable doing that kind of stuff. But just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, and you'll get better, and it'll be more fun. And at this point in time, I don't think one little bit about doing goofy voices for my players when we're playing. I'd make all kinds of silly, wacky voices, and it's fun for everyone, and we have a good time with it. And my players love it, and that's the other thing about it too. The more you do it with your group, the more you'll realize that they will encourage it. They encourage it, and they like to hear you do it. It's a statue that followed. Yeah, no, you'll get better. Just keep trying to do it. And like I say, like you kind of have to sort of like you have to get used to it, and you have to learn how to do it through immersion, right? It's not something that you can really practice in an environment that doesn't require you to just actually do it. So it's like, just do it. And like, if there's something that doesn't go over well with a group, then that's fine. Just don't do it again, right? And eventually you'll kind of learn the nuance and you'll get it. But okay, so let's do our breakdowns here. So floor 2, some of these will be pretty easy because they'll match up. This first one, again, will be worth 350 because it's just going to be like the double of like what that initial number was. So that one's easy enough. So now we do times 2. So then this one is going to, again, be the 650, right? Because we're just like taking the doubles of these things, but we'll get there. It'll start getting to different stuff. So 650 experience points. This one gonna be, so it's 921, so we'll make it worth 950 EXP. And then this last one at 4. And so now this one's gonna be worth 1228 or 1250. See, now already we can see that difficulty starting to creep up here. And that's good, right? We want that to keep increasing and keep making things more challenging. So it's gonna be good stuff. All right, so now we clear up. Now we'll do floor 3, 6450 divide by 14. So that first one is gonna be, it says 460. We'll go ahead and do 500 experience points for our easy battles. That times 2, 921. So we'll go with the 950, 50 XP, and like this is something too that's kind of fun for me because I've always kind of liked math and numbers and seeing how different numbers work out and all that kind of stuff. So it's always kind of fun for me to do this mathematical approach and just like see the different ways the numbers end up panning up. I don't know, I'm like finding patterns in them. I don't know. That's my little dose of Rain Man inside of me, but I have fun with it. And as the DM, you kind of have to make your own fun with these types of things because I say it all the time. The one plight of the DM is that you play this game and your role is to lose. You don't get to win at D&D. You're the DM. You're setting up situations for the players to win. You don't get to win. So you got to make your own fun where you can find it. Otherwise, you're just going to be sad all the time because all you do is lose. You just lose all the time. And like even when you do win, you usually end up feeling bad because that means your players are having a bad time. So, dirty well water after explosion wake up. Hey, if I learned anything from Pirates of the Caribbean, it works. That's how you wake someone up. I mean, really, any movie that includes slapstick humor, you kind of learn that lesson. All right, so this next set of rooms here, that divided by 14, so that'll be our 614. Again, so that'll be 650. Again, you can see the 650 popping up, that 614 number popping up in a bunch of different places just because of how division and multiplication works, since this is like worth the same proportion, like these proportionally increase at the same rate and all that stuff. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun for me. I'm probably the only person in the world. But, All right, and then doubling that would be worth that's our 1250. 1250 XP. That one divided by 2 times 3. 1842 or 1850 experience points. And then the boss battle in this floor. Crap, I gotta start from scratch again. 8600 divided by 14 times 4 gives us our 2457, so we'll just make it 2500. 2500 XP. And so now we can really see how that difficulty is getting bumped up, because now a single battle is going to be worth more than this entire floor altogether. So things are gonna start ramping up here. But again, that's good. We like that. We like the challenges to get increased. It's gonna be really fun to see how much a boss battle and like the boss of the dungeon is gonna be worth. It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one. It always is. It always is. Because then like also once you get to these really high ones, we can start having a lot of fun because there's a lot of stuff that with like the different challenge ratings and different XP levels kind of start fitting into our little formulas here that we've plugged in. So it's gonna start getting more and more fun. Well, let's see. So 1075 or 10750, excuse me, 10750 divided by 14. This first one, 767. We'll make that worth 800. 800 XP. Times 2. 1535. We'll make that 1550. 550 XP. That one, 2 times 3, that'd be 2303. Rounding it up, 2350. 2350. Because the funny thing about this too is a lot of them for an individual battle will probably just round up to the 2400 or something like that, just to make it easier if everything is just a multiple of 100 rather than a 50 or something like that. For the individual creatures. But like I say, if we round it up by just like 50 experience points, it doesn't meaningfully change the difficulty for players, but it will help make sure that they all get the experience points they need to make sure they level up properly. So we do that for 3071. So that'll be we'll make that 3100. Yeah, see now we're really getting up there for our difficulty, which is just delightful. I mean, okay, like, just the opening to that one. Snake isn't great socially. I mean, granted, it's a fantasy fairy tale world, so animals talk and stuff like that, but just, like, without context, my snake isn't great socially. Yeah, I buy that. That sounds about right. There is an egg, catch away from people. Oh, so even for an animal, not very well socialized. Now, the Yuan-Ti, the Yuan-Ti, that's the awkward thing. My players just finished clearing out a cult of Yuan-Ti. They've got troubled relations with a lot of people. Yeah. Ooh, check please. Oh, well, that's I do appreciate that you've given your snake sort of like familiar pet, whatever it is. I do appreciate that you've given them like a personality and backstory. I think that's fun. Okay, so this last one, about 14, 921, so we'll make that worth 950. Let's see, these guys, the medium, to 1842, we'll make that worth 1850. 1850, oops, nope, the comma goes in the right place there. 1850, So you know what you should do? If you want to share your character with me, you should put it on you should join up. If you're not already, you should join up with the Discord and you should put it there, and I'll check it out there. Like I don't do stuff on stream just like because you never know when some ding dong is gonna try and prank me and do something to get me, you know, get a strike against Twitch or get me banned or something like that. But I do love seeing the stuff that you guys do, so you should put it on the Discord. Because the other thing about it too is that way it like stays there, and so it doesn't just like disappear with chat if I can't do it on screen. So you should share it there. You should totally share it there, and I'd totally be into checking it out. Oh, show. 12 times 3. 2764, so we'll make that 2800. Ooh, 800 XP. Not XP. Alright, there we go. And then our last one, the final boss battle. Yeah, I you know, and I appreciate the ask too. Like, it's good etiquette, and I always feel bad too, because I know some people get like offended when I say don't share it in the chat or I'm not gonna put it on screen. And it's like, it's not that I necessarily distrust you as an individual. It's that I distrust everyone on the whole. You know, and it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like it takes one person to ruin it for all of us. So it's just better that way. But yeah, if you put it, if you want to, you can put it in the Discord, and I will definitely check it out there. I've grown to really love having that Discord server there, because people come up with some really cool stuff, and I love seeing what people come up with, and I love like that people share their ideas. Yeah, doing it like as whispers is a good idea too. That one works too. Because that way it's like, at the very least, I don't have to like worry about getting banned if someone's like, I'm going to put a picture of boobs in there. That'll get them. You know, it's like people do that crap. People like freaking swat each other. Like, people are messed up in this world, man. And like I say, it just ruins it for all of us. And it's a real tragedy. It's a real tragedy that we can't trust each other because there's just like, you know, proportionately there's like a minuscule number of people, but that's all it takes. All it takes to ruin every good thing in the world, and it's a bummer. Sweet, yeah, I'll get you verified this afternoon, and you can share all the stuff there and join in conversations. I've really liked having the Discord. Like, the Discord's a really good way to like stay connected with all you guys. Like, I really like having that one there. I'm really glad people twisted my arm to do it, because for the longest time I resisted. Like, for the longest time I was like, man, I just don't want to get involved in the social media stuff. As in my personal life, I don't like social media. My personal life, I'm just not into it. I don't think it's healthy for most people. I don't think people use it in healthy ways. So like, I resisted for a long time, and people were like, no, you should do it. And I'm gonna be honest, I really liked having it for the streams. Like, it's a really cool way to stay connected with like the people that watch me, and I really have a lot of fun with it. You know, because you guys are creative. You guys are creative as hell, man. You guys come up with some really cool stuff. There's like artists that come in and share artwork sometimes. People share their maps and their ideas. It's just really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. I love it. Okay, so there's our experience points breakdown for all of our floors here. It's a really tedious process, especially when you get up to these higher level ones. Like, imagine doing level 20, right? Because that'll be 20 floors worth of doing all this stuff. It's really tedious. But I do it up front like this, so that way as I'm designing too, I can really keep things consistent. And like I say, taking the time to do all this stuff, like knowing that this like is all built around the level that our players are going to be there, it takes out so much. It removes so much of the tedious time it takes to do session prep. Right? Like, session prep, by doing all of this stuff up front, session prep basically comes down to quickly glancing at what rooms and locations my players are likely to go and being like, oh yeah, they're going to do this. Oh yeah, they might do this. Oh yeah, there's this thing right here. And it's like, it takes 20 minutes compared to spending like hours every week to prepare for a single session. It's like, you take the time to do this stuff up front. Oh, it saves so much time. And for me, as a world builder and as a DM, that's been so valuable, because it just like frees up so much time for me to just like create worlds, rather than like tediously having to just like handle mechanics and then having the role play stuff be an afterthought. Instead, it's like the mechanics get done, and then I can spend prep sessions thinking about like, okay, so they kind of approached this one character with this attitude. What's that going to do with them giving them information? I can like be prepared for that stuff. That really helps all of that be stuff. And so I just, man, like this, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Because the other thing about it too is, if for some reason you get to an area and you're like, oh shoot, no, this is going to be too hard for what they're actually doing, then you can just like change it, and you've got a benchmark, and you know where to sort of change it from. So it just takes minor tweaking. So you can just like change it on the fly, and it's great. So great. Yeah, go ahead and send it in DMs. That's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah. Because you're just getting in with the Discord, and like I have to go in and manually approve you just to make sure. And like I do that just to make sure like other people don't come in and spam and again try to ruin it for everyone by like coming in and like trying to dox or anything like that. Just like all that verification stuff, it's like minor, but it's usually enough to, like, really all it is it's meant to be enough to bother people to the point that they won't just like idly as a prank come in and mess stuff up. Like, sometimes that's all the deterrent you need. But yeah, no, go ahead and DM that ish. Do it. Cool. All right, so we got this stuff all figured out. And then, like I say, this stuff I usually will do after I do this stuff. I'm gonna fill this stuff out after we've kind of come up with each of the floor specific minutia that we have to do. Because there's a lot of floor specific stuff we'll have to do. Yeah, so let's just finish up. What do we got? We got like 10 minutes left on the writing stream. Not a whole lot to do, a whole lot more stuff. So I'm just going to take care of a few of the like housekeeping things here. So this is, again, like this is the template that I use. And I think this one's actually even a little outdated because I'm always modifying my templates based on how like I'm approaching my writing and stuff like that. So there's always, I'm always doing updates, and I think this one is a little, sorry, I'm changing my, I'm messing with my electric blanket here. And so like what was I saying? Oh yeah, so like this template is here, and it's been really important and really valuable, and there's even a few different things that I've done, but just to like kind of give a quick rundown. So like skill checks like are based on the player's level. I kind of have like a stepwise system based on their level that I'll do, and I always set like baseline skill checks are gonna, like an easy skill check is this, a medium and a difficult one is this. So that way it's not me just like arbitrarily deciding if I want them to succeed or not in the moment when they come up with something, right? If they're just like, oh, I want to do this, it's like, okay, well, that's going to be pretty hard to do, but I've already predetermined that, and I do that as like a favor to my players, because I don't want them to feel like I'm just arbitrarily, I don't want them to like arbitrarily just, or want them to feel like I'm arbitrarily deciding whether or not I want them to succeed, right? And just like randomly choosing, I want it to be hard, make it 25. Like, no, like I've got it predetermined, and I'll like show them this. I'll be like, this is the scale that I use. Like, it's predetermined, make your roll. You know, and it's going to be the same throughout this entire floor. Oftentimes, it's like the same throughout the entire the entire chapter, because it's like it's based on what level they are. So this is always there. I'll have to recheck my notes to see exactly what that's supposed to be. Here, I just kind of put down the XP for like that individual floor, so that way it's just quicker to reference. And then the enemies. So the enemies are again. I'm sure I'll love the look of it. I love looking at people's characters, like, because it's so fun to see what other, like, how other people view and envision things, right? Because, like, everyone has such different perspectives and, like, mental pictures that they come up with. So I love seeing what other people come up with, right? Because, like, what you and I might envision for the same character is, like, completely different. It's like the only time you end up having the same vision is like when the Harry Potter movies come out, and like that suddenly becomes the ubiquitous, that's what Harry Potter looks like, right? It's like that's the only time we end up having the same one is when someone dictates it there. But like when you're coming up with a fictional character, it's like, you know, until it's in art, it's like it's up to your head what it thinks, what that character looks like. So it's so fun to see what other people think of, you know, versus what I think of for the same character. So no, I'm sure I'll love it. But yeah, so our enemies are based off of the challenge ratings here, and basically what I do is, so like fodder enemies, like I have it as like fodder, soldiers, leaders, and boss, just to kind of like give it a little bit of flavor and make it fun. Really, it's meant to be easy, medium, difficult, and boss, you know, is for the floor, and that's floor wide. Fodder enemies are, it takes 10 of them to make a medium difficult combat, so it's like 10 of them would be somewhere around this medium difficult battle. The soldiers, the medium ones, 5 of them would be a medium difficult. Leaders are 2 or 3 of them would be medium, and then bosses, the boss alone would be medium difficulty. So that way we have room to add lackeys for our boss, so that way it's not just one enemy, because the one thing you'll also learn is action economy really plays a role in how difficult the battle is. And so if you have just a boss, even if that boss is worth like you know, it's like super crazy impossible difficulty, challenge rating, and experience points, if it's the only character and your players have like 5 turns of getting multiple attacks in each, you know, on a single boss, they'll whittle that health down really quick. Like, you really need that boss to basically be able to one-hit KO all of your players for it to be a challenge. But if you add in lackeys and other things to distract them and divide it up and make sure that the enemies get multiple attacks per round, then suddenly you got a whole different ball game. So I always shoot for a single boss, the boss alone being medium difficulty, and then with what, you know, you can add in whatever lackeys you need to really bring it up to that boss level difficulty. So that's what's going on with the enemies, and that takes time to, we'll start doing that on Monday, going through for all the floors there. And then this is always long rest risks, right? So it's like when players are going to take a long rest, I always make sure that there's some potential for there to be negative outcomes for that. I don't like players just getting long rests for free. It's really easy to abuse that. Like with my players too, we've also incorporated a like supplies thing where it's like they can in their packs only carry about 7 days worth of supplies. So if they don't, you know, if they're gonna long rest a whole bunch, then they'll run out of supplies and they'll have to ditch. And if they leave the dungeon entirely or leave the area entirely, then things are gonna regenerate and suddenly it's gonna be more difficult. So that's what's going on with the long rest there. And then for the rooms, there's always like 10 rooms per section. It might be a little different this time. based on what I want to do with this, but we'll get to that and we'll figure that out as we go along with it. But then I have a few different approaches to how I offer up dangers and rewards to each room, and these are all the notes that I do in it, and so I can just kind of decide what set I want to use, and there's my template, and it reminds me of everything that I need to put into a given room, and it makes it a whole lot easier to stay consistent and make sure I don't forget important elements if I have it there. So that's what's going on with all this stuff, and we'll start going into all of that in more detail on Monday. So, let's see here. There's CS monsters at the moment. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Plan for some of the campaigns. Yeah, no, I like that idea. I like that idea of like I think that it really opens up for a lot of interesting characters. If you play a character that isn't a conventionally liked character, right, that opens up a lot of interesting things, and it can make it really fun to explore more complicated ideas, about how we perceive each other and stuff. And that's like half the fun of role playing, is like being able to explore ideas that you might not be able to explore in your day-to-day life, right? That's why even playing video games, I never make a white male character if I can help it, because like that is my entire perspective all day, every day. And it's really boring and monotonous to only see things from my own perspective. So I love to role play other characters, other genders, other races, all kinds of all that stuff, like races from a human standpoint and from a D&D standpoint. Because for me, the fun of role-playing is trying to put myself in the shoes and see things through other people's eyes, right? Like, it's not about trying to act like I know better about that alternative walk of life, but rather trying to put my shoes in there and try to understand how, this difference or that difference might impact my perspectives on things. So, no, I feel you entirely. I feel you completely. It's the beauty of role-playing games. Beauty of role-playing games. So, okay. So I'm looking at the time now. I'm going to bring us over to just chatting here. Looking at the time here. Whoosh. There we are. All right. So I'm going to bring us over here. What's going to happen, I'm going to take myself just like a 10-15 minute break. I've been going for a couple hours here. And so I'm going to take myself just a short little break here. And when I come back, we're going to do some video gaming, right? We're going to cruise into the weekend playing some video games. I am so excited because I'm going to be playing some Planet Zoo, and my God, do I love that game. It is so adorable. It is just absolute. It's like uncomfortable how adorable and fun that game is. I love it. I'll sit there and look at the baby animals forever and ever. But we're going to play that today. It's going to be fun. I'm starting a new zoo, and I think I'm just going to do sandbox mode so I can just like have a really fun time designing my dream zoo is kind of what I'm in the mood to do. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Ultimately, I want to do it like a zoo franchise, but right now I just kind of want to build some stuff. So I'm going to take a break. We're going to come back and do all that kind of stuff. Stick around if you want to see me spaz out over baby animals. Or if if you're just here for the D&D stuff, I get it. I ain't going to hold that against you. I appreciate you being here at all. Let me just quickly run through my little plugs about where you can find me on social media and stuff like that. For the sake of all y'all pretty people sitting in the Twitch lobby here, and for anyone watching the VOD on YouTube here, I'll just run through all that kind of stuff, and then I'll leave you with some music while I work on getting my stuff transitioned over to play some Planet Zoo. But yeah, just thanks so much to everyone who stopped by. I appreciate all you guys. If you do want to find me other places, as I've already mentioned, I have a Discord. All of these, by the way, all of these you can find on the About page. So if you don't want to listen to me rambling about it, just go check out my About page, and you can find all the links that I'm about to run over. I just like to kind of give a bit more context for all of them. Or if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, you can just scroll down into the About or to the video description and find it all there. But yeah, I do have a Discord. I love interacting with people. I love talking about D&D. I love talking about video games. I love talking about kickboxing that I do, or rock climbing, or our pets, or whatever people want to talk about. I love being connected with all of my super cool people that come check out my streams. I love kind of keeping my thumb on the pulse. It's great stuff. Nice playing Starbond. That's legit. I feel you. But yeah, so Discord, get yourself hooked up with there if you're not already and you want to. It's a good one. I also do a lot of announcements. Like I make sure and announce when I'm going live to all the verified users and all that. All you pretty people, so that way you guys know. When I'm going live and all that kind of stuff, and any updates about if the streaming schedule has to change for any reason. So Discord is a great place to stay connected. You should do that. If you just want the announcements, you want to just get little blurbs, you can get yourself connected with my Twitter account at EnviroStreams. I mostly use that to just like make little tweets when I'm going live, or if the schedule changes. But that said, Twitter's a fun social media thing, and like I say, I don't do social media really, but I'm learning, and it has been kind of fun to start learning how to do all that stuff, at least from the streaming perspective. So it's like, hey, maybe there'll be fun little tidbits that I drop there. But you can follow me there. I also have an Instagram. That's one social media I have been having fun with, is Instagram. You can find me there, Enviroboy Streams, on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of rock climbing and kickboxing videos there. It's a really fun place to just like share some of the other stuff that I'm doing with my life. So go check that out if you think it'd be fun to see what other stuff I'm doing. Also, lots of pictures and videos of my cat, because she's so stinking adorable. So you can go check me out there. That's a good one. And then I already mentioned it, and some of you are maybe already watching there, but I do have a YouTube channel, Enviroboy on YouTube. I put all of my VODs up there, and one of these days when I eventually put my money where my mouth is and learn how to do video editing, I have plans for doing some other fun videos just as a creative outlet and stuff like that. So you can check me out there. You can follow me and all that stuff there. And then the last link that's there, I don't know. It's there because people asked me to put it there. I do have a donation page. If you want to tip, and do that kind of stuff, you can. It is helpful. That helped me buy this mic, so I didn't have to use my crappy headset mic forever and ever. So it's like, it does help, but really the thing that's most helpful is just you guys coming by, watching, checking out what I'm doing, watching the YouTube videos, watching me live on stream, chatting with me, leaving comments, liking, subscribing. All of that stuff is honestly the most helpful for me. Like, that's the stuff that means something to me, because that's the stuff that tells me that, like, hey, people like what I'm doing, So that's honestly the best thing you can do. Like, if you want to do something else, don't give me money. I got a day job that pays the bills. It's there if that's what you really want to, and I will never be upset about that. I'll always appreciate it. But the best thing that you could do is, tell a friend. Tell a friend that I got my streams, that I got my YouTube channel, and let them know that I got stuff that you like, and maybe they'll like it too. Just, doing that kind of stuff to grow the channel is really the most helpful stuff. So yeah, like, if you're sitting here watching, just like, keep doing you, keep doing that, because that's really helpful, and I appreciate it. But with that said, like I say, I'm gonna take a short break. I'll leave you here with some music for a little bit. There'll be a little hiccup where I'll kill the stream just for a minute so I can swap over for the sake of the VODs and everything to Planet Zoo. But then, boy oh boy, we're gonna have some fun with some baby animals and Planet Zoo. That's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a really good time. I'm really excited about it. I've been looking forward to playing this game all week. It's gonna be fun. So thank you again to everyone who stopped by. Appreciate each and every one of you. I should mention my schedule. One more thing. My schedule. It's Friday. I'm not streaming this weekend, but my usual schedule, and I should be holding mostly to it next week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's when we write. 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's when we video game. Okay, that was my last announcement. That's all of it. I'm gonna take a break. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Stick around, and I will be back shortly. I will see you soon to play with some baby animals. Okay. All right. That's all of it. Yeah, cool. Go take a break too, I guess. Yay.